One of my favorite times as a pet owner. And I love talking with Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto from Cinema Veterinary Center, located in beautiful Valencia on Cinema Drive. Get it? Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's do this again. There we are. Knobs all changing around here. There we are. So a couple things I want to talk about today, because we talked about, we had the event Bow Wows and Meows a few weeks ago, a big adoption event here in the Santa Clarita Valley. You said lots of dogs and cats were adopted, which is wonderful.
Yeah, over 200.
Over 200.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, with that comes the potential for bringing a dog from a kennel situation, especially bringing them into the home. You're seeing a lot of kennel cough coming back around.
We have seen quite a bit of kennel cough. It is sort of to be expected with the situation, like you said. Many dogs in kennel or shelter situations, even in just boarding, they are very close together, and kennel cough is very contagious through just nasal secretions, coughing, sneezing, any of that. And so in that kind of situation, from a big event like that, we're definitely seeing it a lot from the adopted pets, as well as some of the dogs that actually just went looky-loos because it's so contagious with close contact, and there were so many pets there. Because it's contagious, if you adopted a dog from there, or if your dog went with you there and they're showing signs, which is usually upper respiratory signs, coughing, sneezing, nasal discharge.
More so than the normal, like with some dogs, they have like the reverse sneeze stuff, which you catch. So this is a little more than that,
More
right?
than that, definitely. And there's varying degrees of it, but definitely more than just the occasional sneeze or cough. It would be very consistent. If your pet's showing any of those signs, definitely get them checked out by a vet, and know that because it's contagious, if you have other pets in the household, other dogs in the household that didn't go with you, that one that's having the signs can definitely share his germs with the others.
True.
So.
And it's also very important when you adopt a shelter pet to make sure that they are thoroughly checked out by a veterinarian as soon as possible, even if they have all their shots and they've been kind of looked over at the shelter, that they should, or if you've adopted them from pretty much anywhere else, especially with their other dogs that are close quarters. Right.
Yep.
Another thing I want to talk about really briefly is there's all the talk about El Nino. We have a little bit more rain than normal, and some of the stuff that we've had has come down pretty hard. Like last month, I think it was, we had about 45 minutes of really hardcore rain here in Santa Clarita. It might have even been in September, but either way, and it caused a lot of problems in a short period of time. And of course, then about 3 weeks ago, we had that up to just north of us. In a situation where it's going to be that rainy, and if you have an outdoor pet or someone that's more indoor-outdoor, there are things that we should consider if it's going to be, like they're saying, as big as 1998, which was a huge wet season out here.
Right.
What do we need to consider with our pets in making sure that they stay healthy during something if it's going to be a seriously wet winter?
I would definitely say if you have a pet that's more outdoors or indoor-outdoor access, definitely make sure that they have shelter out there, and not only the shelter, but make sure that it's warm enough for them too, because if it's going to drop down into lower temperatures, we want them to stay warm. We want them to have a place that they can be dry. Being able to come into the house is probably best, but if they're not able to, then definitely giving them somewhere that's going to shelter them and keep them out of the rain. Because certainly just like us, if they're exposed to just wet conditions for a long period of time, we certainly worry about them getting sick. But more than that, if their skin and their fur is wet for a long period of time and they don't really get that much attention afterwards to get dried off right away, I've seen it where, especially longer-haired dogs, they can get skin infections, hot spots, and things like that because the bacteria and the yeast like to grow in that moist, kind of dark environment.
Ew.
Yeah.
For those of you who are having breakfast right now, but that's a true thing. I mean, you're right about that. And the other thing too, of course, if you have this slatted patio, you should probably try to find some place that would be out of that. So it's not just them going into their doghouse for shelter, because that gets cramped after a while. And also probably, I would say, check your drainage to make sure that water isn't going to start building up around their living quarters.
Yeah. We don't want them drinking that kind of stagnant rainwater either, so definitely make sure things are
Which they will. They will if you give them the opportunity to.
Sure.
They'll drink anything as water. So that's important. I think those are good things. It's just coming up on this type of season if it is as crazy as they say it is. So warm, as dry as possible if they can come indoors or even like inside the
Garages
garage.
work well.
Yes. So good. Well, Cinema Veterinary Center, as I said, located on Cinema Drive, just off of Valencia Boulevard or between Valencia Boulevard and Magic Mountain Parkway. cinemavet.com. Phone number?
661-253-9300.
For all of your dog and cat needs. In 2 weeks, we'll be talking about what you should and shouldn't do with your pets for Thanksgiving dinner. At
Yes.
Thanksgiving dinner. It sounds a little better. Doctor, always a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.